My name is Pete Buttigieg. They call me Mayor Pete. I am a proud son of South Bend, Indiana, and I am running for President of the United States.
It's no easy task graduating magna cum laude from Harvard, and few of us have the opportunities to go to Oxford on a Rhodes Scholarship, and being elected mayor at age 29 of a Rust Belt city is not something most of us can talk about at cocktail parties. But Pete Buttigieg is not the typical American. While accomplishments don't necessarily come easier for him than they do for anybody else, he seems to clearly have a drive that pushes him to go further, accomplish more, and be of service to his fellow citizens in ways most of us only imagine. And there's more. He speaks multiple languages, plays piano, and in between everything else he's got going on, he manages to find time to write a complete book about his experiences, which, if most people his age did that, would amount to all of about 32 pages. But again, Pete Buttigieg is not cut from the standard American cloth. And among all of the frontrunners that were vying for the Democratic presidential nomination this year, and last year, Pete Buttigieg is able to distinguish himself by a career in the U.S. military. He signed up for the U.S. Navy Reserve in 2009, and in 2014 he was called up to active service in Afghanistan. A history of service runs through Pete's family, mostly on his mother's side, including Russell Montgomery, an Army Air Corps captain who was killed in 1941 and whose portrait graced the Buttigieg living room as Pete was growing up. But it was while knocking on doors in the state of Iowa in 2008, while he was campaigning for Barack Obama, that Pete says he was first introduced as an adult to seriously considering serving the country. In his book, The Shortest Way Home, he says this: "It seemed like every other teenager I met was signing up for the Army or the Guard. I was only 25 years old, but those freckled Iowan recruits looked like children to me. And I began asking myself how it could be that whole communities in this part of the country, just like those in rural Indiana, seemed to be emptying out their youth into the armed forces, while so few people I knew had served at all." He put his civilian life on hold and took a leave of absence from his duties as mayor, and left behind a sealed envelope for his family in case he was killed overseas. He packed his gear and boarded a C-17 for Afghanistan. There were no deferments, there were no delays. There were no bone spurs. When the United States called up Pete Buttigieg and asked him to serve, he just said yes. His time was divided between intelligence analyst and as a vehicle commander for convoys, where he would routinely cross outside the wire into well-populated hostile areas of Afghanistan, knowing full well that dressed as a U.S. soldier, he was an easy target for anyone looking to kill an American. While the current president was questioning Obama's birth certificate, complaining on Fox and Friends, and tweeting at hostile and vicious enemies of the U.S. like Rosie O'Donnell, Pete Buttigieg was becoming accustomed to daily sounds of gunfire and bombings all around him, and constant threats of death that could emerge seemingly out of nowhere at any given moment. He credits his time there for giving him a new respect for the preciousness of life, both his own and those of his fellow servicemen and servicewomen who risk so much in order to fight for the principles of American democracy. For his service, Pete received the Afghanistan Campaign Medal for Service in Combat Zone, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the Overseas Service Ribbon, and citations for rifle and pistol marksmanship. Don't mess with Pete. Upon completion of his 7 months in Afghanistan, he returned to South Bend, Indiana, and took up his responsibilities as mayor again, going on to win re-election with more than 80% of the vote. What'd I just say? Don't mess with Pete. He has since referred to his time in the Navy as having prominently shaped his opinion of the military as the great equalizer of society. Of his time serving alongside a cross-section of fellow citizens, he says this: "In many ways we had nothing in common except the fact that we were all American. But the men and women who got in my vehicle didn't care if I was a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. They just wanted to get home safe, like I did." Most of us can't speak with firsthand knowledge of what effects being in the U.S. military has on an individual's character. We have to learn about that from the brave men and women who actually go into the service to defend this country. And Pete Buttigieg is one of those people. He gave back to his country in significant ways that most of us only read or hear about secondhand. There are 3 core values promoted by the Navy as the bedrock of its foundation. They are honor, courage, and commitment. These include conducting oneself in an ethical manner, the highest ethical manner, delivering bad news even when it's unpopular, respecting human dignity, exemplifying teamwork, competence, and moral character, and making decisions that are in the best interest of the nation. During the last 20 months, we have seen Pete Buttigieg demonstrate all of these values with consistency and allegiance. Be it defending his own actions on the debate stage as he did so eloquently and repeatedly, standing up to racism on the campaign trail, or exemplifying the Navy's values through his own campaign, Pete Buttigieg is a rare combination of intelligence, common sense, trust in his own convictions, and the realization that service to others enriches oneself in innumerable ways. It is a portrait of decency and respect for American values that Pete exemplifies on a daily basis, even when he's on Fox News. In Pete Buttigieg, we have a man of great character and integrity who is offering to be one of the leaders of our country. And in the face of everything that has been going on here in not just the last year and a half, but really the last 4 years, we as Democrats should consider ourselves very, very lucky to have Pete Buttigieg on our side. That's it for today. You can find me on social media at YouCan'tBeatBlue, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. The website, youcan'tbeatblue.com, and of course, the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/youcan'tbeatblue. I will see you tomorrow. Y'all still got time. Do something for a Democrat today, why don't ya? Gary out.